back. Strause will very quickly untap. He'll draw. He's got no cards in hand, but he's got a Tasker that's attacking for 4. Mage is going to fall down to 2. Mage is going to fall down to 1. Blood Crypt. And now we head over to Michael Majors. He'll draw. Nope, that's not going to do it. That's a Wooded Foothills, couple of lands. That's no bueno. Garret Strause, Michael Majors, getting ready for a third and final game here. Grixis Delver, Death Shadow. Let's get ready to watch some action here.
So something I've noticed after the 2 days so far of covering this Death Shadow deck, a lot of the power of this deck comes from the fact that Lightning Bolt, I think, is so bad against this list. Now, it is part of the equation of they can only go so low, enabling their various cards until you can get punked down to 1 turn. But in terms of it effectively removing creatures, it's bad at that role. And the same thing is true of some of the other damage-based removal or toughness-related removal, like Collective Brutality. You really want to be on Fatal Pushes, Terminates, Path to Exiles, and the like if you're trying to fight Death Shadow.
Well, these players are going to shuffle up here for game number 3 pretty quickly. So while they get ready to do that, place you can see Michael Majors, of course, right in front of you, but another place is in the Versus series with StarCityGames.com. And if you want to be like Michael Majors, and who wouldn't? I mean, look at that hair. My goodness. Versus Series Playmat is what we're talking about right now. Michael Majors, Tom Ross, Brad and Nelson, Todd Anderson. Who am I missing? Who am I missing? Ross something?
Miriam.
Ross something or other. Your good friend, your good pal. Ross Merriam. He also does have a little fun in the Versus Series over on the premium side of StarCityGames.com. You can get the 2-player playmat today at go.starcitygames.com/versus playmat. Again, 2-player playmat. So you and your buddies can emulate what our good friends do in the Versus series. Michael Majors, one of those 5 that we do see producing content over on the premium side of Star City Games.
So what's the size of that playmat? Is it just 2x?
24 by 28.
I don't know the standard dimensions of a...
Why'd you ask then?
Well, that's why I said, is it 2x? I said, is it 2x?
I know it's 24 by 28.
Okay.
That's all I know. Okay. I'm not good at measurements. This is something that a lot of people give me a lot of flack about. So 24 by 28, I know those are the dimensions. I don't know what that actually means. That doesn't mean anything to me. Square footage, nothing. So if someone, when I was building my apartment in Seattle, or just like, if you like measured your desk to see if it'll fit through the door or anything like that, I'm just like, no, I don't. Why would I do that?
Why would I do that?
I'm just going to put it where I think it's going to go, and hopefully it will fit. Most people have like a tape measure and things like that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
I can't draw a straight line. It's really hard for me. Need a ruler to be able to do that. And I just can't measure anything. So my best friend, Stephen Berkowitz, he owns a sign shop. So this is just second nature to him. He can just look at something and say it's like this square footage or this amount of length or all that stuff. And that just means nothing to me. And it's taken him a long time to come to terms with that.
Does the desk fit through the door? Well, there's 2 scenarios here. One is that it does. And the other is that I smash it into a million pieces in frustration. And in neither scenario do I need to know the measurement of the doorway versus the desk.
That's
so no, I didn't measure it.
That's how I operate.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's totally fine. It's
Yeah.
totally fine. None of that stuff makes sense to me. But we make it work. So when I say 24 by 28 for the playmat confidently, I only know that because it used to be on the graphic, and it's not anymore.
Sure.
So that's how I know that. But do I know how big that actually is? No.
In relation to other playmats.
No. Here's a Thoughtseized. Major's going to fall down to 15, I'm sure. Couple of lands here for Garret Strause, along with a Thought Scour, Fatal Push, a Lightning Bolt, and a white bordered Mana Leak.
Yep.
Like a sore thumb.
Right. Foil Scalding Tarn.
Yeah.
White bordered Mana Leak.
I have so many
7th
questions.
edition? 8th edition?
The Mana Leak?
9th? I don't know.
8th.
They really reprinted that card a surprising number of times.
Just kept bringing it back.
Yeah. I don't know. We're not sure yet.
Couldn't be less fun.
So I would imagine the card in this hand that most likely to be selected here is the Fatal Push, since Mana Leak's a little awkward to hold up. The cantrip is sort of whatever. And Lightning Bolt, not really great interaction in the matchup.
Well, that was Major's selection. Basic guy on the draw here for Garret. He'll play a Steam Fence untapped, pass the turn back with Lightning Bolt and Thought Scour at the ready. Michael will draw.
Surprising to play the Vents untapped. I guess the alternative is he has to reveal that he drew an island that turn, but that doesn't seem that important to me.
See, Strause points to the island that he did draw.
Right. And now with a second discard spell, it is 2 points on the house.
I kind of want to snap off that Thought Scour.
Me too. It depends. I mean, the mana leak could matter here if Majors doesn't have a play until turn 3.
Just looking at it, I just want to put it in the graveyard. Major's giving it a long look. He's got a Tarfire in his hand, a Cooling On's Command, Verdant Catacombs as well. There's some pretty decent cards in hand right now for Michael. And generally doesn't care about Lightning Bolt, as you said.
Well, he took it here. I think he's trying to play Death Shadow this turn. Now, there's some risk here in that if Strause is able to cantrip into a removal spell or a Snapcaster Mage, he's taking a fairly ineffectual card and left Strause with a mana leak for somewhere down the line. But if his hand is land heavy enough that he feels eventually he'll be able to just make his land drops and play through the mana leak. Also, the ceiling on this play is really high. If Strause doesn't find a removal spell, he might die very quickly.
That Shadow does not mess around. Already on the battlefield, it's a 3-3. Strause, Thoughtscour himself, Steam Vents, Cooling On's Command to the graveyard. What's the draw, though? Engineer Explosives pretty good.
Yeah. Explosives is a pretty rough draw here for Majors, as I think the play here was motivated by hoping that Strause missed for a turn or two, finding a removal spell, and now he has.
Vendilion Click, the draw for the turn. Strause will play an island.
And Strause just chilling for this turn and explosiving next turn. You have the mana leak as cover for this turn, so there's nothing really proactive Majors can do that you can't stop. And then you can Abrupt Decay and all in one turn if it should come to that.
Majors will sacrifice a fetch. I feel like he's going to take a bunch of damage again because that's what this deck does a lot, though he could be on the hunt for a basic. Stomping Ground says otherwise.
And this is a matchup here where, you know, threading that needle from the Death Shadow side is pretty complicated because Grixis Delver is known for its ability to sort of turn the game around and kill you very quickly. And, you know, if this Death Shadow should die, Majors is 7 in a pretty vulnerable position with a lot of other cards in his deck that cause him to take damage or lose life in other ways.
Fatal Push the draw.
So Fatal Push is a pretty sweet draw here for Strause, as it allows him to hold up the mana leak if he wants to and still just Fatal Push the Death Shadow away. I was thinking before he would have to commit the Engineered Explosives and then he's putting the shields down, or he's taking another hit, but with Fatal Push, he can just pass the turn here again if he wants to.
Now, Garret needs to be a little careful here with how he sequences things. Majors had his Cooling Command in hand. So if he does this...
This is really dangerous. If Strause is going to take this line, I would have much preferred for him to sacrifice a Scalding Tarn as the first order of business.
Yep, blow that up.
This is a catastrophe.
This is really bad news.
Really bad.
Because now he's only got access to 1 mana. Majors is going to make him discard, it looks like. Now he's going to discard a Scalding Tarn. The Explosives is gone. And now the Explosives did nothing. And now it's on the Fatal Push to do something, but he's also got to take 2 to cast the Fatal Push.
Yep. Now the shields on Mana Leak are also down. I mean, this was a lot of people get in the habit of waiting until the last minute to sacrifice their stuff, and as the first order of business there, if Strause wanted to take that line, he had to sacrifice the Engineer Explosives. Not only did that happen, but it also could have been in a spot where he cracked the fetch land to Mana Leak something, and Majors resolves another spell over the top or whatever.
Michael will draw. Picked up another fetch land.
Although Majors is running out here. He's on Tarfire and lands right now. So even though that sequence there with the Engineer Explosives was really bad for Strause, he's still not in a horrible position.
Majors will pass the turn back. We'll go over to Garret Strause. Garret Strause has drawn a copy of Cooling On's Command. Pretty good card right now. He'll pass the turn back. Majors will draw a card in the draw step. Things get a little bit interesting here because he's picked up a copy of Tarmogoyf.
And that was a great time to Vendilion Click here for Strause, being able to tag, I imagine, tagging the Tarmogoyf out of this hand.
I still think Majors has a Tarfire here, which he will. And now, the reveal, assuming that Strause targets Majors and not himself, is Tarmogoyf. Now, I think he's going to want to take that Tarmogoyf, which he will. So this is a big draw step for Michael, and that's a hell of a draw step.
Death Shadow is a good one here.
Yep. 6/6. That he can make into a 9/9 easily.
And that is lethal.
Yep. Garret Strause in a lot of trouble now. Mana Leak and Cooling On's Command not going to get the job done at this moment. I think players are confirming life totals here just to make sure everything is correct at this stage of the game.
You know, a card might be poised for a return.
Do tell.
Worth thinking about. Threads of Disloyalty.
Speaking my language.
I think it's worth thinking about.
Yeah. Serum Visions yielded Strause a spell snare. Majors knows about the mana leak, and the Kolaghan's command cannot be cast. So now the $1 million question is Michael Majors willing to try to go for the kill?
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to. Giving Strause draw steps here. You're hanging on by just a thread here in Major's position. Any removal spell from Strause here, and you're at 4 life with no board, playing against a Grixis Delver deck. I think this is a pretty good window to go for it.
Michael going to get a basic, it looks like. Get a basic Forest. He's going to fall down to 6. 13 minus 6 is 7. That's how big Death Shadow is. Majors will untap. Draw step coming. And he'll draw a card. Well, the lands stink. That's all he's got left. But it's an attack here for a whole bunch. As he played that Overgrown Tomb untapped, and that's going to do it. Michael Majors is going to win this match here over Garret Strause. 2-1. Death Shadow will take care of Grixis Delver for Majors. He moves on to 12-2, and he should, with any luck, be a lock for top 8.
So congratulations to Michael Majors here. Should be in a good position for a top 8. That game basically came down to that fetch land and Engineer Explosive turn.
Yeah.
He had to use a Fatal Push because of that sequencing. If he had a Fatal Push left in his hand there, he's able to kill the Death Shadow that eventually killed him, and his leftovers there are pretty solid. He has a Kolaghan's Command for some damage to get back a Vendilion Click. He has a Spell Snare to Mana Leak, which still might be live, but it just came down to that operation. And you know, people, I think, err to the side of playing too instant speed, too fancy with their fetch lands, and sometimes just first order businesses, make sure you have all your mana available because you don't want a window for your opponent to be able to play something when you have less mana than you should, and that's exactly what happened there with that Engineer Explosive getting tapped by Kolaghan's Command.
Essentially what happens over that game is that Engineered Explosives more or less just gets discarded.
Yep.
Doesn't get used during